Okay, got you here. Yeah, you must test everything. Test, 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 test. What you guys think about that? Let's have a good conversation that's going to hopefully benefit you. What to expect in this video. Veterans are already going to do what they do. They're already going to be very established with what they do and their standards. Anyone that's interested at a very beginner level of keeping and breeding of ball pythons, you might want to stay tuned just so you can see both sides of the coin on expectations as far as breaking it down on the business side. Hey guys, what's going on? Will here, Flawless Exotic Creations, coming to you guys with another video this week. And this week, this video is going to be pretty informative. First and foremost, this is not going to be a controversial video. This is just going to be spreading information, things that we've found, things that we've had to adjust to. You have to keep evolving with the times, no matter what's going on, whether good or bad. We are a very proud partner of ShedTesting.com. Shout out to Charlie. I can't speak highly enough of him, man. He's a very, very amazing person, period, let alone his company, ShedTesting.com, is doing tremendous business, and they are definitely leading the way, helping us out tremendously. So this is not going to be one of those do this or do that. We just want to kind of throw information out there for anyone who needed a little bit of guidance. You hear us here at Flawless talk about shed testing a lot, whether we're on lives or whether we're recording videos, and we're a big supporter of shed testing, and we think that it's the present as well as the future. It's not going anywhere. You may find, regardless of who you use, but hopefully if you don't have anyone, use ShedTesting.com, that the prices are very reasonable. You're getting to a point now where there's so many genes and snakes that you have to test for certain things. But I'm in agreement that you should be testing for whatever's the important thing for you to be looking for in that snake. I've watched Charlie do interviews. He's spoken about the same exact thing. And like I said, he's a supporter of this channel. He's a sponsor of this channel. So again, let's dig in. The thumbnail, test everything, not necessarily. So, and again, hold your horses. Don't think we're going to kind of backtrack and go against shed testing, because that's not the case. The issue is the industry and the market. And you guys keep hearing the market. This is not one of them bad videos talking about the market. But all I want to put out there is that the industry and the market is moving forward in a very fast way. We've posted about it, did videos about it. Things are going to move faster than ever, and it's going to continue to move fast. So as an enthusiast or a keeper or a young breeder like ourselves, when you get into this industry and there's so many people wanting and willing to help, we've had an amazing bunch or groups of people that have offered so much assistance and knowledge and education to us, and the list is really, really endless. I would feel bad to name the people that's helped us and end up leaving somebody off, because the list is truly that long. But when it comes to shed testing, you also want to make sure, as a keeper getting in or as a breeder getting in, that you don't overlook certain things or overlook certain opportunities. There are some people that, let's say for instance, since shed testing is available for certain genes, that they no longer will buy POS heads. I don't really think that that's the case right now. I think you're always going to have POS heads, and that's literally going to be facilitated by the market. There's and again, that's why this video is being put out for you guys, so you can kind of look at it and say, yeah, you know what, maybe I was looking at it as everything I'm going to buy is going to be 100% het, or everything I'm going to buy is going to be visual. That's pretty much it. I'm not going to buy a pos het anything. And I just want you guys to hopefully listen or watch this video and hopefully have like an aha moment, you know, where it's like, okay, add another video or content or information to your toolbox for you to process some things in a different manner, in a manner of maybe you didn't quite see it that way. So let's start off by concrete. I mean, there are going to be pos hets out there. You're not going to eradicate pos hets from the market. And it's not just because breeders choose just, you know, I'm not going to, you know, test it. That's not the case. You have to look at it where some high level keepers or even breeders, full-time breeders, certain things that you end up hitting when you go for your pairings and, you know, in your planning phase, certain things you hit may not end up hitting a home run on. So if you're going, you know, head to head or double head to double head, whatever it may be, let's say, for instance, you do double head to double head. And in that situation, your goal was to hit the double visual of whatever genes. I don't want to kind of throw any genes under the, you know, the bus. But you hit your, you know, two double visuals out of 6 eggs. That's a home run in that pairing. But the other 4 babies at this point, you know, whether, let's say none of them are visuals. So now everything is 66% double het. So when they go on the market, you know, on Morph Market or wherever, or become, you know, readily available for sale, you look at them, and if you're in the market for whatever that visual gene is or that het gene is, you kind of automatically kind of skip over that. I get that concept because we've done it ourselves, okay? But where you need to possibly take some things into consideration is for the people that are not necessarily looking for that gene. So now I can't give you guys a visualization without being specific, so I'll do so. I'll use Stranger. Stranger is going to be incomplete dominant. It's a good gene to use because I'll match that with recessive trait of Clown. Now, if you as a buyer are looking for a Stranger het Clown, okay, male, female, doesn't really matter, but you're looking for a Stranger het Clown, and you see Stranger het Clown for $500, okay, and that's apparently where the market may be, okay, and you're checking out the breeder, you figure out that that's going to be the one that you're going to get. That's fine, purchase that. But if you're seeing a Stranger pos het Clown, whether it's 50% het Clown or 66% het Clown, typically that same buyer passes up that animal, regardless of the price, because they want the sure thing. Now, I'll be transparent with you guys. I'm in the same belief. I would do the same exact thing, okay? But here's where it kind of comes into play to benefit everyone. Now we start the scenario over. That original buyer that was looking for a Stranger het Clown, let's say now he's just looking for a Stranger, okay, with no hets, anything. It is not a bad idea for that person that's, you know, starting off in that gene or just adding it to what he has, and he sees, you know, Stranger for $300 out there. But then you come across a Stranger that's pos het Clown for $300 as well. It's not a bad idea to pick up the Stranger pos het. You know, I would probably take a chance on picking up the Stranger pos het. And one or two things would happen as a buyer. Either I will hit Charlie up at shedtesting.com, because now I have the, you know, pos het in my hands, and get that shed tested and see whether it's het Clown or not. Regardless, it's a win-win for me, because I picked up exactly what I wanted, and it can possibly have an additional gene in there that I decided to test for. Or at that point, maybe I just grow it out and breed. I already bought exactly what I want, and if it has something, it has it. If it doesn't, I'm still winning. And those people would choose to grow it out and breed it and figure it out at that point. So I want to put that out there because there's still a very significant place in the market for pos hets. and there's a way that you kind of work around. So if you ask yourself the question, which is the question we've been asked and the point of this video, some people feel that, hopefully we can alleviate some of these, feelings and thoughts and questions, but they say, okay, well, at this point, shouldn't breeders just test for everything? Test everything? No, not necessarily. It's still a business. So here's a snapshot, and hopefully we don't go down this whole mathematical lane on budgeting and business plans. But being that you have a business, you're trying to run, and hopefully be successful at this, reptile business, you're going to budget for things, whether it's feeders or if you're breeding your own feeders, and then it's going to be food for the feeders, bedding for the feeders, bedding for your collection, waste products. You're going to budget for all these things. Another thing that you're going to budget for is going to be shed testing. Okay, so you're going to have a good amount in that budget depending on what your pairings are, and your pairings come from your planning stages, and then you're going to go accordingly. So depending on how many breedings you're doing and you're chasing certain combinations as your goal animals, if you hit them, you do. If you don't, a lot of times you don't. You guys know chances are you're not going to hit the odds you're shooting for. Kind of sucks, but that's a part of the game that we play. So now you're faced with, okay, cool, I'm going to breed stranger het clown to a Wookiee het clown. What's your goal? My goal is to hit a Wookiee stranger clown. Okay. Now, success for us will be hitting that goal. So, okay, cool, you hit a stranger Wookiee clown. All right. And then everything else you hit, stranger, Wookiee, normal, all Posset clowns. This is the problem that you run into as a breeder. So I hit my goal animal. All right, you have some secondary things there that you may consider. For example, Wookiee het clown. Check the market. You see Wookiee het clown. I don't know what it's going for right now, but Wookiee het clown will say is $500. Okay. So if Wookiee het clown is $500 and then you're seeing Wookiee for $250, you sit back and you're like, okay, well, it's probably advantageous for me to test that animal. So that animal will go in the test side. So we sit that shed to the side and say, we will test this. All right. Now you see, let's say stranger, Posset clown. You reevaluate that animal as well. You say, okay, well, stranger het clown is $350 and stranger is $300. That's probably, I'm not even gonna say probably, I'm saying for us, we're not gonna test that animal. It wasn't our goal animal, and we're not gonna test that animal because it does not make sense financially to the budget to test that animal. You have to take into consideration that, just because something is $350 doesn't mean that it always sells for $350. So if you already have the animal, you pay for your testing on that animal. Let's say it proves to not be het. Now you have the animal available for $300 for it being just a stranger. You may get the $300, you may get a little less than $300, but you also have to subtract the cost of whatever your shed testing is, which will end up with your bottom dollar on an animal that was not your goal animal. It may have been in your best interest to revert to the beginning portion of this discussion to say, okay, cool, I hit my goal animal, nice. All right, I checked the market on everything I have here, but this stranger Pos het, I'm just gonna make it available for the stranger price. And it'll be up there as a stranger Pos het for $300, right next to the stranger that's not het for $300, and hopefully it finds its customer. You still may not get the full $300, but at least you don't eat the shed testing costs on top of that as well. So just be conscious as far as a breeder's concept, where you probably, your budget probably does not allow you to test everything, and it actually doesn't make any sense, because if you've been breeding at all, you guys know you are not going to hit the odds all the time. It's very, very slim that you will. But again, on a successful season, okay, regardless of what your range and level may be, if you hit, 10% odds, 15% odds of hitting your target on holdbacks and things that you need to move forward, and then you're sitting with 85% of, byproduct, and, due to your pairings or whatever it may be, you have 30% of that needs to end up being tested, but it's not advantageous to test all of it. If you have certain things in there, then it makes sense. For example, if you have a stranger het paint, okay, you have a stranger het paint, you have a clown het paint, okay, and you breed those. It's such a, and I'm not talking about how it actually looks or showing like a favoritism to certain genes, but it's so fresh on the market that when you hatch those animals out, that number one, you're going to hatch out stranger het clowns that are now pos het paint. Okay, so in that situation, paint isn't available to be tested yet. But in that situation for us, we will hold back a lot of animals in hopes that, Charlie comes out and drops the paint test very, very soon. But for the sake of this discussion, it's combinations like that you would end up testing for, because after you hit your holdbacks, you hit 2 or 3 females, whatever your target was to hold back, now you're faced with the rest of the clutch being available. So if you have 2 to 3 animals available, and you have a stranger clown by itself is a $800, $900 animal, $1,000 animal, depending on combinations. And now, you absorb the cost, or it's in your budget to test that animal when the test is available for paint. And you find out that the animal is also het for paint. And you could potentially have a $2,000 animal, a $2,500 animal that you may have to reevaluate as a holdback again. But again, that's the point. There's a significant bump and gap. You're not literally paying to lose money. So certain breeding tactics is structured that way in the planning phase, where the market will always facilitate having pos hets. So don't look over them if they just kind of have the exact genes that you want and they end up being also pos het. Personally, I don't think you can upcharge for certain pos hets. Some people don't feel like you can upcharge at all for pos hets. I disagree with that. I think you can upcharge to a certain extent for pos hets, and the area where you're working it is going to be paint. In my opinion, it's going to be paint. It's going to be monsoon, whatever non-testable recessives, meaning the test is not out yet. There's a certain level of upcharge you can charge, or at least ask for. That still doesn't mean you're going to make the sale, but that's according to the market. And if you don't understand, again, this is a channel that welcomes everyone, the experienced breeders, but more so the new and intermediate breeders. What I mean by upsell is when you have a product, your ball python being the product, and we're in this world where we have shed testing for everything, or for most things, but now you're in a lane where there's no shed testing. We're in one of those lanes with monsoon. Okay, so if we hatch out an orange dream fire het hypo pos het monsoon, and if the same exact combo is already on the market without being pos het monsoon for $500, and we can't even test for monsoon yet, but this isn't a holdback, you're probably not going to see that animal for sale for $500. You're going to see that animal for sale for somewhere in between the $500 and the price of a het. You're never going to charge the price of an actual 100% het in that lane, but somewhere in between there, depending on the combination of the genes that's involved. So this was a little video to hopefully try to dissect some of that issue of people possibly feeling that, every animal should be tested. I'm sure that it would drive Charlie crazy. It'd be very monetarily beneficial, but it would drive Charlie crazy over there being a one-man show. But again, if you have any shed testing needs, you're going to want to go over there and hit him up. He is very accurate and very, very fast. But hopefully that solves any confusion over it. And hopefully I didn't create any confusion. Again, this is coming from a place of love and togetherness, and hopefully putting out a good explanation on certain pricing and shed testing and whether or not shed test everything. Anyways, Will, Flawless Exotic Creations, and we out.